Hi dear students, welcome to Rashid Virtual Academy. I am Rashid Ahmed, your C++ programming teacher. Students, do you remember in the previous lecture we were discussing the fundamental of programming language, and especially we were talking about the high level language, division of the high level language, and so on. Students, in today's lecture we will cover the following topics in detail. What is a program? What is algorithm and flowchart? What are computer codes? And what are translator types? We will discuss these topics in detail. So let's start with the first slide, which is related with what is a program. Program is a set or group of instructions written in any computer programming language. So it means that program is the collection of instructions, the collection of commands, the collection of statements. So these programs are written in any computer programming language for the computer systems. So what is a program? Who is a programmer? A person who writes the instructions is called programmer or coder. The programmer writes commands which instruct the computer how to process or convert data into information. So it means that the programmer of the computer language is responsible to write codes for the write instructions or codes for the computer system, and the computer system uses these codes for the translation or for the conversion of data into information. Students, so what is, do you see the two underlined words? One of them is data, which means that the collection of raw facts and figure is called data. The word raw means that the facts have not yet been processed to get their exact meaning. So it means that you will be unable to take decision on data. These are raw materials. Data is collected from different sources. It is collected for different purposes, and data may consist of numbers, characters, symbols, or pictures, etc. So what are the data types? These are the data types: textual, numerical, audio, video, graphics. Students, when we process two or more than two data types in such a way that at the end we get a meaningful message, this meaningful message is called information. Or in simple words, you may call that the processed form of data is called information. Students, the programmer always writes the instructions on the base of the algorithm and a flowchart. So what is algorithm and flowchart? We will discuss right now algorithm and a flowchart. The instructions are written in a language. The programmer or coder writes instructions for the computer system. So the best way is to write algorithm before writing programs or codes. What is algorithm? A stepwise solution of any problem is called algorithm. So it means that the step-by-step solution of any problem is called algorithm. The algorithms are written in a simple English-like language which is called pseudo code, and pseudo language is independent of any programming language. Following are some of the properties of the algorithm. We will discuss each of these properties in detail right now. The first property of the algorithm is input, which means that an algorithm must have one or more pre-specified inputs. Second property of the algorithm is outputs, which means that an algorithm must have one or more outputs. The third property is definiteness, which means that each step of an algorithm must define clearly, mean no confusion or contradiction or ambiguity in the steps of the algorithm. The fourth property of the algorithm is finiteness. Each step of an algorithm must be terminated in a finite tolerable amount of time. The fifth property of the algorithm is effectiveness, which means that any calculations performed or decision taken by a computer or any electronic machine with respect to an algorithm should be computable by the human beings with pencil and paper, although time may be longer. The last property of the algorithm is correctness, which means that an algorithm should always produce correct result with respect to its domain of the inputs. Here, students, whatever the programmer or operator of the computer system expects from the input, the system must produce the correct result. So these are the properties of the algorithm. Students, on the base of the algorithm, the analyst or programmer always design a flowchart. So what is a flowchart? Do you see, flowchart is the combination of two words, flow and chart. So it is a pictorial representation of the algorithm which shows the algorithm steps in the shape of symbols and arrows. Or in simple words, you may call a flowchart is a diagram that represents a process or algorithm. These steps are represented by a series of boxes or other specialized symbols, then connected with arrows. Why the programmer or analyst design the flowchart? So let's discuss it in the next slide. These are the uses of flowchart. The flowchart is especially designed which represent the pictorial representation of the algorithm in simple steps. If you are confused about the process, the act of mapping out the steps in flowchart format can clarify your own understanding. Third uses of the flowchart is used to improve the logic for solving a problem. And at the end, you see, programs can be easily debugged. So it means that this is the representation of algorithm using symbols, and through these symbols you will be able to remove errors or debug the program or algorithms. So these are the uses of the flowcharts. Students, the program development process is simply divided into two parts. One is logical design and the other one is physical design. In logical design, the programmer designs the logic of the program. The programmer specifies the steps required for the solution and its sequence. Students, here in logical design, the analyst or programmer design the algorithms and flowchart for the programmer or coder. So the programmer or coder will write the actual code, the actual instructions in physical design for the algorithms or flowchart. In physical design, the programmer writes the instructions for the algorithm developed in the logical design. So these are the basics you may call division of the program development process. Students, here we will write a simple algorithm for a simple problems, and the problem is how to add 5 values and then how to display the total of the 5 values. So the following algorithm is used to solve this kind of problem. Students, do you see in the first step of the algorithm, two variables are initialized. Both these variables are initialized by zeros. The sum variable will display the total value of the five five values, and count variable is used to control the loop variable. So it means that count variable is used to control the loop process. Students, do you see in the second step of the algorithm, enter n. So this step number 2 is related with the input of the program. So here the user will, or the programmer will, input value into the n variable. And then students, in the third step of the algorithm, do you see whatever value the programmer or user of the computer system input into the n, then the n will be plus to the sum variable and assign it to a sum, and then increment count by 1. So here in step number 3, the count variable will also be incremented by 1. And in the fourth step of the algorithm, do you see here the system will check whether the count variable is less than 5. So in case the value of the count variable is less than 5, then the system will go back to the step number 2, and this process will continue till the count variable values becomes 5. So as the value of the variable becomes 5, then the system will terminate the loop and will display the total amount, or the total value of the sum on a screen in step number 5. So it means that step number 5 is related with the output of the program. Students, the programmer or analyst design a flowchart on the base of the algorithm. So here we are going to design a flowchart on the base of the last algorithm that we discussed right a little before. So the first symbol shows the starting point of the program or algorithms, and the second symbol, do you see both variables are initialized by zeros. In the third step, the user will input value for n, and then the system will plus this n value with the sum value in the fourth symbols, and also the count variable is incremented by 1. In the fifth symbol, the system will check whether the count variable is less than 5. In case the variable is less than 5, it will go back to the step number 3, and this process will continue till the value of the count variable becomes 5. So as the value of the variable becomes 5, the count variable becomes 5, so the system will terminate the loop and will display whatever value stored inside the sum on the screen. And students, do you see at the end, the last symbol indicates that this is the end point, this is the end of the algorithm or programs. So this is a simple flowchart design on the base of the last algorithm we discussed already. Students, do you know about the types of codes? Here we will discuss right now the types of the codes. Following are the two types of the codes. Source code. What is source code? So any high level language code is called a source code. Any high level language program is called source code or source program. Computer system does not understand high level code. To make it machine understandable, the programmer uses language processor or translator software. So it means that the high level language code the system will be unable to process or execute. To process the source code, the system needs the source code to be translated into a machine understandable code, and then the machine understandable code the system will execute. So what is object code? Object code is a code which is directly understood by the computer systems. Students, here we will discuss different types of the translator softwares. So machine language means 0 and 1s, is the native language of the computer system. Native language of the computer system means that the system directly understands this kind of code. The computer does not know high level language code. It must be converted into machine understandable form by a language processor or translator. Every language has its own translators. Here we will discuss different types of the translator softwares. Compiler is one of the translator softwares which translate the source code of any high level language, which translate the source code of the high level language into machine understandable code. And do you see the pictures? Source code, compiler, binary code, and then binary code directly understood by the computer system and execute the binary code or object code directly and produce the result. Again, I would like to repeat here, compiler, it is a kind of translation software which translate the whole source code of any high level language into machine understandable form. In the picture, do you see source code? The source code using a compiler. After compilation, the compiler generates binary code, and the binary code is directly understood by the computer system, and the system will produce output. The second type of the translation software is interpreter. Interpreter is another type of translator softwares which translate any high level language source code line by line. Do you see in the pictures the statement by statement the system, the interpreter interprets the source code. Students, in case if there is any kind of error in the source code of the program, then the interpreter stops interpretation of the next line till you don't remove the error from the line. So it means that interpreter is a little bit time wasting software, so it is a little bit slow as compared to a compiler. The last translator software example is assembler, which means that assembler translate the assembly language code into machine code. And in the picture, do you see source program, assembler, and at the end you see the output of the source code after translation, object code or assembly listing. The assembly language code is also called mnemonics. So we will discuss in detail in next lecture, inshallah. Thank you. Thanks for watching our videos. For more videos, visit www.rashidvirtualacademy.org. Hope to see you again, students. Allah Hafiz.